Johnson was fatally shot in the 1400 block of 1st Street Northwest. The Metropolitan Police Department is currently seeking information in reference to this homicide. If you have any information related to this incident, please contact Detective Jeff Owens on 202-277-4239 or the Command Information Center of the Metropolitan Police Department on 202-727-9099.
What's good with y'all, Mo? Welcome back to Paperwork TV. Today, we are not going to get into the paperwork of any rappers. Today, I want to talk about one of the new faces on the IG and social media scene as a whole. Big Psych, known mostly today for his online back and forths with his social media arch nemesis, Ant Glizzy, and known for being an affiliate of the DC Blacks out the feds. This is the story of how he was arrested for a second-degree murder that actually occurred back in 2006, in 2019, and beat the case. Before we get to it, I need y'all to go and smash that like and subscribe button for me, Mo. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Uptown around 1st NO at about 8:44 p.m. on the spring evening of May 1st, 2006. A call echoed through the halls of 5th D. A shooting had occurred on the 1400 block of 1st Street Northwest. Officers rushed to the scene, only to find a man lying unconscious, his life bleeding away from the gunshot wounds. The victim was Marcus Johnson, a man of 35 years, who was swiftly transported to the MedStar Washington Hospital Center by DC Fire and EMS. Despite the best efforts of the medical team, Johnson's injuries proved fatal, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. His life ended just a few days shy of his 36th birthday. 6 years later, in October of 2012, DC police released a YouTube video featuring a conversation with Marcus Johnson's grieving mother, Mildred Johnson. Her plea was simple and heart-wrenching: for anyone with information to come forward. A reward of $25,000 was offered, just enough to bring forward the ones who held the keys to unlock the mystery of Marcus's death. 18 long years after the tragic incident, on December 26, 2019, a breakthrough emerged. Police arrested 32-year-old Levon Williams, today known to the Instagram and social media world as Big Psych of Northwest, charging him with second-degree murder in connection to Johnson's death. Big Psych ended up taking the case to trial and eventually beating the case, which leads us to the social media influence that he displays throughout the social media world today. Now I'm going to go over the actual court affidavit that we found for the Big Psych Marcus Johnson case. Please keep in mind while reading this paperwork that Big Psych's nickname at the time was Psycho.
Superior Court of the District of Columbia, Criminal Division, affidavit in support of an arrest warrant. On Monday, May 1st, 2006, at approximately 20:44 hours, units of the Metropolitan Police Department's 5th District responded to the 1400 block of 1st Street in W for the report of a shooting. Upon arriving on the scene, officers located the victim, who was later identified as Marcus E. Johnson, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. The victim was transported to the Howard University Hospital emergency room by DCFD ambulance, medic number 40. All life-saving efforts failed and Dr. Drake of the hospital staff pronounced Mr. Johnson hereafter referred to as the decedent or marked dead at 0236 hours on May 2nd, 2006. 7.45 caliber cartridge casings were recovered from the scene in front of 1417 1st Street in W. Shortly after the shooting, Metropolitan Police Department MPD officers observed numerous people running from the area where it had occurred. One MPD officer observed a subject in a red shirt and a subject in a white shirt running south on 1st Street in W, and broadcast a lookout for them, but neither subject was observed in possession of a firearm, and neither was stopped by police. On Tuesday, May 2nd, 2006, an autopsy was performed on the remains of the decedent by Dr. A. Wayne Williams of the DC Medical Examiner's Office to determine cause and manner of death. Dr. Williams determined that the cause of death was gunshot wounds of the chest, abdomen and forearm, and the manner of death homicide. It was reported to police that on Monday, May 1st, 2006, at approximately 2009 hours, an individual on a bicycle was observed producing a handgun and firing several shots, while in the 100 block of Q Street in W. The shot struck one victim. The individual on the bicycle was then seen making a U-turn on Q Street in W, and then turning south on 1st Street in W, making good his escape. There were 9 9mm cartridge casings recovered from the scene. The victim was taken to MedStar, Washington Hospital Center in critical condition. The defendant was identified as a possible suspect in this non-fatal shooting. Additionally, it was reported to the police that the defendant was seen riding a bicycle on Q Street in W towards the area where the shooting occurred. Then, 20 to 30 seconds later, the defendant was observed riding the bicycle from the area where the shots were heard. It was further reported to police that on Monday, May 1, 2006, while in front of 1417 1st Street in W, the decedent scolded the defendant. In reference to the shooting in the 100 block of Q Street in W referenced in the previous paragraphs. Specifically, the decedent told the defendant that at the time of the shooting there were children outside in the area, his son included. After the scolding, the decedent walked away and the defendant then opened fire on the decedent, striking him multiple times. Just prior to the fatal shooting of the decedent, W1 was in the 1400 block of 1st Street in W. W1 saw 3 black males in the front yard of 1417 1st Street in W. W1 did not observe a bicycle in the front yard at that time. Approximately 5 to 15 minutes later, W1 heard gunshots. Immediately after hearing the gunshots, W1 heard the front doorknob of IT's house being jiggled. W1 then looked out and saw someone lying in the street. W1 identified the 3 black males as JJ, Bow Wow, and at a later date Dolly Joe. Following the shooting, a bicycle was located in the front yard and recovered as evidence. On Monday, May 1, 2006, at approximately 20:50 hours, W2 reported hearing 7 gunshots, looking out and seeing the decedent lying in the street. W2 then saw 3 individuals leaving the back of a house go into the alley very close to IT's home. The 3 individuals paused momentarily and then fled south down the alley towards O Street in W. W2 states IT saw 2 of the 3 individuals in the area on a regular basis. W2 described one of the individuals as a black male, approximately 5 feet 8 inches in height, thin build and very dark complexion. W2 described the second individual as a black male, approximately 6 in height, 19 to 20 years of age, light complexion. W2 stated that IT thought that this individual had a teardrop tattoo under his right eye. W2 could not describe the third individual. W3 reported that at the time of the shooting, IT heard gunshots and then heard individuals run into the house, the same house W2 referenced, and down the stairs and into the basement. W3 then observed individuals IT knows as Psycho, JJ, Jimmy, and BB exit the back door of the house in the direction of the alley. W3 stated that sometime after the murder IT heard that Psycho and JJ were the shooters. On April 28, 2016, W4 stated IT heard gunshots as IT approached the north end of the alley. W4 looked down the alley and saw Psycho and JJ coming from the back of 1417 1st Street in W. W4 stated that Psycho yelled, "Don't go around 1st Street." The following day, W4 heard Psycho, the defendant, admit that he shot and killed the decedent. The defendant explained that the decedent was talking shit, and as the decedent was walking away, the defendant thought the decedent was reaching for a gun, so he had to shoot him. W4 stated IT has known the defendant for approximately 10 years, knows his true name is Levin Williams, his nickname is Psycho, and that he lives at 780 Street in W. During the interview, W4 was reluctant to identify one of the individuals coming from the back of 1417 1st Street in W, but eventually did during the interview. On February 13, 2017, W4 was shown a single photograph of the defendant for confirmation purposes. W4 viewed the single photograph of the defendant and was asked, "Who is this?" W4 responded, "It looks like Psycho. It favors him, but it seems like something is missing." W4 was shown a second single photograph of the defendant and was asked, "Who is this?" W4 responded, "It seems like the same picture you showed me the first time." W4 was shown a third single photograph of the defendant and was asked, "Who is this?" W4 responded after viewing the photograph, "That doesn't look like him right there." After showing the photograph and concluding the procedure with W4, the affiant questioned W4's truthfulness. W4 then brought to the affiant's attention the fact that Psycho always wore eyeglasses, and the photos W4 had been shown did not depict the defendant wearing eyeglasses. W4 was shown a fourth single photograph of the defendant, in which the defendant was wearing eyeglasses. W4 was asked, "Do you recognize him?" W4 responded, "That looks like him." W4 was asked, "Is that him?" W4 responded, "Yes, that's him." W4 was asked, "Is this the guy you call Psycho?" W4 responded, "Yeah, that's him." W4 was asked, "Is this the Psycho that told you he shot and killed Mark after Mark was talking shit?" W4 stated, "Yeah, that's him." Your affiant notes that after W4 provided this information, including the identification of Psycho as the shooter of the decedent, representations were made by the government to potentially assist W4 with respect to a matter pending in the criminal justice system. W5 reported that IT brought JJ a gun from inside 1417 1st Street in W, and then observed JJ shoot the decedent. W5 later admitted IT did not see JJ shoot the decedent as IT had reported. W6 reported that IT saw more than one individual shoot the decedent, specifically, the defendant and one of the other Johnsons. W6 named the shooters as Marquise Johnson and the defendant by his nickname, Psycho. Further investigation revealed Marquise Johnson was incarcerated in federal prison at the time of the shooting. W7 reported that IT was inside 1417 1st Street in W prior to the shooting and saw JJ with a gun. W7 reported that IT then left the address and walked to Q Street in W, and at that time W7 heard gunshots. W8 reported that it was IT's understanding that JJ did the shooting, and that Psycho and BB were there. W8 claimed that the decedent had come up to tell them to stop shooting. W9 initially reported IT saw who killed the decedent. W9 claimed that IT observed the decedent walking down the street. IT reported that the decedent saw the defendant and then the decedent pulled out a gun. W9 indicated that the decedent did not have time to shoot before the defendant shot and killed him. W9 identified a photograph of the decedent. W9 later recanted what IT had reported. W10 initially reported that IT saw JJ shoot the decedent. W10 later recanted what IT had reported, stating that IT had not actually seen what IT had claimed to have seen. W11 called MPD anonymously to report that a subject IT identified as Marche killed the decedent. Your affiant subsequently was able to identify and interview W11, who stated that IT did not have first-hand information about what IT had reported, and IT could not identify the direct source of the information that IT had heard. W12 reported that a subject who was killed in 2017 had been responsible for killing the decedent. W12 subsequently reported that IT did not have first-hand information about what IT had reported. Its only source was a conversation that IT overheard on the street between the people about whom IT could not provide complete identifying information. On Friday, May 3, 2013, the affiant, along with another MPD detective, interviewed the defendant in the Federal Correctional Facility in Hazleton, West Virginia. The defendant was asked about the shooting homicide of Mark. The defendant stated he was in the house and didn't hear anything. The defendant is presently serving a sentence in connection with an earlier murder conviction. Based on the aforementioned facts and circumstances, the affiant believes that probable cause exists to support a criminal offense occurred in the District of Columbia, and the defendant Levin Williams was involved in the offense. Respectfully, your affiant requests that a D.C. Superior Court judge issue an arrest warrant for the defendant, Levin Williams. Well, like KP said, I got bills to pay, so on that note, I'm about to step off for now. Make sure y'all go follow and check out Big Psych on both Instagram and YouTube. Thank you for watching Paperwork TV. We are on the road to decay. Please go like, comment, and subscribe to Paperwork TV for more dope content. Until next time, you'll be safe out there. And remember, stay dangerous, Mo.